Hello everybody, this is Emily with Fabrications Ottawa, and today we're going to learn all about slipping your stitches in your knitting. So I'm going to demonstrate 3 different techniques. We're going to slip one purlwise, we're going to slip one knitwise, and we're going to slip one with yarn in front. So let's start at the beginning. Every time in a pattern it says to slip one and gives no other information, you always want to slip one purlwise, because that's going to just transfer the stitch from one needle to the other without doing any funny business. So in order to do that, you're going to take the tip of your needle, you're going to slip it in as if you were to purl the next stitch, and then you're going to just pop it over. Presto, slip one purlwise. Let's knit a stitch and move one over, and we'll try that again. Take the tip of your needle, move it in as if to purl, slip it on over, done. Slip one purlwise. I'm going to knit one more stitch, and then we'll talk about slip one knitwise. So when you slip one knitwise, you are going to twist your stitch so that the the right leg of the stitch ends up being in the back of your needle. Right now it's in the front of the needle. And that's why this is not your default slip, because you are transforming the stitch when you move it over from one to the other. So you only want to do this kind of slip when it is specifically called out in a pattern. So to do so, you go in as if to knit, and then you're just going to move your stitch over. And you can see my right leg is in the front here. When I go in as if to knit and move it over, my right leg is now behind the needle. And so I've twisted my stitch. Sometimes people want that in their patterns, but if it doesn't specify, you always have to slip as if to purl. So let's try slipping as if to knit one more time. So I'm going to put my needle in and slip it over. And now I've got 2 slip stitches knitwise. All right, I'm going to undo that work just so that I can get back to where my working yarn is. And we've talked about the slip one purlwise, we've talked about the slip one knitwise. Let's talk about slip with yarn in front. So slip with yarn in front, you might see it in mosaic knitting on the wrong side of your work, or in patterns like the honey cowl, you might see it used for textural interest on the right side of your work. So in order to do this, we're going to follow exactly what it says in the instructions. Bring the yarn to the front of your work between your needles, and then you're going to slip as if to purl and bring your yarn to the back again, and then knit on your merry way. And what that's done is it's created, it almost looks like a purl stitch, except that this little floating bit isn't attached to the needle. So it's a little bit more prominent. It's a little bit wider than a purl stitch. And so it will be a little floatier, say, than the bump of a traditional purl stitch. So let's try that again. We're going to move the yarn to the front. We're going to slip as if to purl, and then we're going to move the yarn to the back again and carry on our merry way. And there we have another, here it is, slip with yarn in front. All right, that's it. Now you know how to slip one knitwise, slip one purlwise, and slip one with yarn in front. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy knitting.